The Chicago White Sox beat the Kansas City Royals 7-4 on Thursday afternoon. They won 3 of 5 games in the series. White Sox had 14 hits and 5 walks. Luis Robert had 3 of those hits on Thursday afternoon, and one of them was a huge 2-run home run in the 8th. Sox now head to New York for a rematch with the Yankees.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. I really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Dallas Keuchel gets the first crack at the Yankees on Friday night. The White Sox got the job done on Thursday, and I'll break down the offense. It's been 38 games now on this season. How have you been feeling as a White Sox fan? State of the Sox. Sox are 19-19. They are still chasing the Twins. Sox did beat the Kansas City Royals Thursday afternoon, 7-4. They won 3 of 5 in the series against Kansas City. I'll go through some offense and pitching numbers a little bit later in this episode. So it's been 38 games, and how have you been feeling as a fan during these games, especially, after last night, the loss 2 nights ago? Have you taken a certain stance or down a certain avenue as a fan? Have you kind of made promises to yourself? I have personally felt some apathy, some loathing, some, anger, confusion, a lot of different emotions, stuff I didn't think I would feel 38 games in to the 2022 season. I thought it was going to go a lot differently. And I think when you converse with other Sox fans and you spend any time on social media, which can be tricky, there are different avenues of fandom, and you be a fan however you want to be a fan. I think that's the beauty of being a sports fan. You can personalize it. You can customize it to how it fits into your life. Are you going to live by every single pitch from the beginning of the season to the end, every game? Living the highs and lows of every game? Are you going to be a little bit more passive? It's completely your spin. You can do it your way. So these are some of the things that I've kind of noticed, not only with myself, but maybe with other people that I've also kind of conversed with, other Sox fans in my life. And maybe you've felt the same way. So there's one kind of perspective of like, I'm simply done as a fan. This team is a joke. They're just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. They were never that good. They should have never had all these types of expectations heading into the season. They are what they are, 19-19. There's a different perspective that's a little harsher and more of the, we were promised more as fans. This team is awful and there needs to be answers. Someone needs to explain to us why they are so bad with the talent that they have. There's another approach that is more of glass half full. It's early. There's still 4 months left of baseball, and just kind of leaving it like that. Like, I am not going to analyze this team right now. We still have a lot of baseball left. I've heard another avenue of, changes need to happen right now. Fire Tony La Russa, fire Menachino, and then I'll come back and maybe attend games or I'll watch. And then there's a completely different aspect of fandom, which is, you know what? I love the Chicago White Sox. Nothing's going to change that love of mine. And you know what? I'll see you at the ballpark, and I'm tuning in no matter what. And I think I can, I might have to pick through a lot of those different avenues and make kind of a Frankenstein fandom of where I'm at. I mean, I'm through and through a diehard Sox fan. I am watching every inning. If I'm not watching, I'm tuning in on the radio or I'm at the ballpark. I go over and rewatch certain things. I read a ton of articles, and it's not just because I'm doing, this Locked On podcast and then a weekly podcast called Good Guys Talk Back. I truly, this is my hobby. This is my passion. And, I don't know, it's sometimes a nice opportunity to kind of analyze, like, where are you as a fan, and where do your passions lie, and why are they that way? I sometimes feel like, we're customers just asking for answers, asking before, we fork over more money. You get bombarded with all these different emails and promotions and, commercials, and, there's merchandise and tickets and this and that. And like, well, if I'm going to invest more of my time and energy and money, I want to know what's going on with this team. Why are they the way they are? How about some answers? I personally, I'm 41, been a lifelong Sox fan. And, finally, like in the beginning of 2017, had a little bit of extra income. I thought, you know what, I'd like to become an actual season ticket holder. And during that Sox Fest, that was Ricky Renteria's first year, got myself into the season ticket holder plan. And, yes, as a season ticket holder, maybe I felt like a little bit more invested, like I'm due some answers, but nothing is guaranteed. I mean, at that time, I thought for sure this team was going to be on the right path. This was coming just months after the big sale trade for Kopech and Moncada. But, the return on your investment, that is what I think a lot of Sox fans are asking. Even if you're not a season ticket holder, or maybe you don't go to a lot of games, you're just a fan. You've dedicated your time to pay attention to this team. You're wondering what's happening with this club. And there are few answers that maybe make sense. Maybe you're not looking for answers. Maybe you're just, this is how the White Sox are. And I'll check back in maybe later in the summer when everybody's healthy and things are clicking. But I was reading some Tony La Russa quotes just on, his perspective on different aspects. And this is something that he mentioned on managing in tough times. I thought it was a very interesting quote. Maybe you read it. This is from Tony La Russa. If we're struggling, now I have another gear I can go to. Well, that's bull. All you do is make decisions. So you better give your same all the time. No, I take every game like it's the last game of my life. And if you really pay attention to that last line, I take every game like it's the last game of my life, that will raise some eyebrows, because lately, especially with the bullpen, it hasn't felt like that. It has felt like La Russa has been managing maybe for the next game or a game down the line, not for that particular game that they are in. This is La Russa on the team in general here in 2022. This script hasn't been written. We are in charge of writing it ourselves to the extent that we can improve and play the best baseball we can. I think a lot of folks, including myself, will say, well, get better writers if you are writing the script. Maybe make some different managerial changes. Maybe get some consistent lineups. I don't know. But La Russa is clearly saying, you cannot define us yet. We are, we've got a lot of baseball left, which I understand. There's 4 good months left, and we'll stay tuned. TLR on hitting coaches. I'm in the cage a lot. The players will tell you the messages they're getting, whether it's strategy or mechanical, we're just not executing. So, I mean, nothing groundbreaking there in those quotes. He is talking about some of the topics, not really shedding a ton of light. I think a lot of fans are really upset that La Russa is still around. But Tony La Russa is untouchable. This is Jerry Reinsdorf's handpicked guy, pretty much shoved down our throat. I think shoved down Rick Hahn's throat, and he's not going anywhere unless he himself decides to do that. I think what I'm looking for is maybe a little fire. Get thrown out of a game, get hot and bothered in the post game presser. Almost, we're paying for it as fans, so to speak. Like, give us our money's worth. Pretend to care just a little bit. The win on Thursday afternoon was a big deal, 7-4. It's important, I think, to get on that winning streak heading into New York. Sox had 14 hits on Thursday, but I'm going to tell you why one particular hit mattered the most. More on that in a moment. Imagine dipping your finger into that plastic tub of birthday cake frosting and then opening your eyes and realizing that was only 150 calories and 16 grams of protein. That is what it is like eating a birthday cake puff from Built. I actually just received a box a few days ago of these birthday cake puffs, and I really haven't had anything quite like them. They're light, fluffy, just, as the description says. They're perfect for maybe before a workout, maybe after a workout. They are available right now, but can't promise that they're going to be there in the future. So you got to go to built.com today. If you haven't tried the puffs, I'm going to let you in on a secret. It really is a chocolate covered marshmallow protein bar. That is right. A delicious flavored marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. Make every day your birthday with Built's birthday cake puffs. Built has taken the delicious experience of biting into a fresh slice of birthday cake, enrobed it in 100% white chocolate, and added sprinkles. With 150 calories, 16 grams of protein, and only 9 grams of sugar, this limited time flavor is an amazing option if you are looking for a healthy way to get flavor and variety in your day. All Built puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, recaps of MLB games with analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. The White Sox had the third highest chase rate in all of Major League Baseball coming into the game on Thursday afternoon, and they have not been taking many walks at all. You know that. Watching it as a fan, and you have probably noticed also that our hitters, whether it be Jose Abreu or Luis Robert, have been swinging at pitches that are nowhere near the strike zone, and those numbers prove it. We've got the data now to put a number on that. On Thursday afternoon, Sox did manage 7 runs on 14 hits. 13 of those 14 hits were singles. They did have 5 walks. They did strike out 11 times, and Moncada and Sheets each struck out twice. We'll take you through some of the highlights here offensively. In the first inning, right off the bat, Tim Anderson led off the game with a walk. It was the first leadoff walk since September 26th, 2021. Abreu actually walked in the first as well. That's 2 walks in the first inning. Sox only had 1 walk in the last 2 games combined, but of course, Sox couldn't do anything with it at the time. There was some life in the third inning for our White Sox. Anderson had a second walk. Moncada up with 1 on, 1 out. Anderson stole second, and then he stole third, which was something else. Moncada struck out, unfortunately. He was something like 1 for 19 in the series, and might have injured his leg. La Russa was talking a little bit about that. So, we'll see what happens with Moncada. Robert, RBI base hit, making it 3-1. Sox were trailing in this for a while. Abreu walked 2 on, 2 out for Pollock. He walks, which was the 5th walk of the game. Bases loaded with Sheets up. and he flew out to end the threat. That is the essential problem, but don't worry, it happened again. Not getting the job done with bases loaded. The Sox had multiple opportunities in this game early on, too, where, they could have really stamped on some throats. They could have put it to Kansas City, and they kept letting them off the hook. All that went down in the third inning. Fast forward to the fourth, they really had some stuff going on here. 2 on, nobody out with McGuire. He had a bunt. Harrison got a single. So you've got bases loaded with nobody out. Tim Anderson up again, base hit up the middle. 2 runs come in. It was 4-3 Royals at that point. After a Moncada fielder's choice, he was not hustling down to first, by the way. There was a wild throw. So Sox had first and third with only 1 out for Robert. He got hit by a pitch. So you got bases loaded for Abreu. He struck out. Pollock grounded out, and they let Hernandez off the hook once again in back-to-back innings. You're pulling your hair out as a Sox fan. Finally, we're taking walks, we're getting hits, we're moving guys around, we're trying to take advantage of some of the miscues by the defense, and you can't get the job done with runners in scoring position. 6th inning now, Harrison with an infield hit goes to third on a base hit from Tim Anderson. Anderson, talk about TW, 10 for 16, I think it was, maybe 10 for 17, but had 3 RBIs. What a game. First and third with nobody out. Moncada, another strikeout in a critical situation. He had a very rough series. Rough last 7 games, I would say, for Moncada. Robert with 1 out. He comes through with an RBI single, ties the game at 4. Don't stop now is what you're yelling, right? But Abreu grounds into a double play. It was some solid defense by Kansas City. End of the threat. 7th inning, pinch hit RBI single from Adam Engel. Sox go up at this point, 5-4. Again, could have gotten more in that inning. There was a hit and run, and that went terribly wrong. I'm sure you saw it. 8th inning, this was the big inning. Sox go ahead here with a massive 2-run home run from Luis Robert. When he hit it, he stared it down. He knew it. It was gone. Left center field, a bomb. He can be a very dangerous man. We've seen it happen not only in this Thursday game, but throughout the series here in Kansas City. And, every offensive lineup needs that. They need a few dangerous guys where an opposing pitcher has no place to hide. And that is another thing that's just been lacking, is the extra base hits from our White Sox, the lack of power. And I'm hoping now that Abreu is starting to come around, that he is our dangerous guy. He is our guy that can kind of put us on his shoulders a bit when we need a big extra base hit, we need a shot in the gap, we need a big home run. We're hoping that a Robert emerges, because I don't know if we're going to get it from Abreu. I don't know if we're going to get it from Moncada. Robert has been playing well the last couple weeks, and now the power numbers are coming around. Runners in scoring position for the White Sox, 5 for 16 in the game, 11 runners left on base. White Sox with bases loaded. Coming into Thursday's game, the Sox were 1 for 19 with the bases loaded. And obviously, as you just heard, the Sox did not do much to improve on those numbers. So, 14 hits, 7 runs, the 13 singles, and the inability to just get the job done, especially with bases loaded. You got to improve on that, especially if you want to beat good teams like New York this weekend. The White Sox bullpen held up against Kansas City, and now the team heads to New York for a 3-game series. I'm going to tell you why things could go better for the Sox this time around. More on that in a moment. Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So Vince Velasquez was on the hill for the Sox during Thursday's afternoon game. He wasn't too impressive. He gave up a 2-home run to Dozier in the second inning. Velasquez comes out to the fourth after Sox scoring a few runs. And, Beckham was talking about during the telecast, after your team is able to get on the board a little bit, your job as a pitcher to get them right back in the dugout so they can start using those bats again. It was a bit of a long inning, but no damage was done. A crazy catch by Pollock in left field. If you haven't seen the highlights, check that out. Very, very much of an adventure for him, but he stayed with it. And again, no damage done for Velasquez. He went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, a home run. And his ERA sits at 5.79. He threw 87 pitches in Thursday's game. He gave way to Sousa, Joe Kelly, who was able to get the job done in the 7th, Graveman in the 8th, and then Liam Hendriks nailed it down for his 12th save. The bullpen, folks, on Thursday allowed 0 runs, which is a great sign. White Sox are in New York now for a 3-game series. We all know how that previous series went last weekend. Sox, of course, lost 3 of 4 against the Yankees. Those first 2 games, just absolute, just drubbings. Dallas Keuchel is going to go against Cortez on Friday. Keuchel pitched in the only game that the White Sox won against the Yankees. That was that Field of Dreams, Tim Anderson bobblehead game. Keuchel in that game went 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and 0 earned runs. A lot of credit to how Keuchel mixed things up. He did what he needed to do perfectly. Kept them off balance, nipped at the corners. It was exactly what he needed to do. The Yankees are going to be throwing Nestor Cortez against the Sox, and he mystified the White Sox during the series finale on Sunday. He went 8 innings, only gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. So my hope for this White Sox team is that, all the offense, all the hits that they did have on Thursday, Robert's power, that can translate, into maybe some hot bats. You saw Tim Anderson trying to get the team going with a couple of stolen bases. He flashed some leather again. We need those leaders. And, maybe it can be Tim Anderson with everything he does, Robert with the bat. We'll see. Hopefully Moncada is healthy. But I have a good feeling, got a good feeling about this series in New York. You got Johnny Cueto, I think, on Saturday. Maybe Kopech on Sunday. So looking forward to definitely a different script than the last time we saw the Yankees. Folks, really appreciate you making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast everywhere you find podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Appreciate you making Locked On White Sox your first listen. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, just call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.